Good day once again, and welcome to part 3 of our discussion on functions of several variables. In part 1, we looked at domains of functions of 2 or 3 variables. In part 2, we took domain, range, and the graph of a function of 2 variables. Here in part 3, we will be focusing on level curves and level surfaces. Okay, so let's sketch such objects. First, we do item 8. This function here, this was actually the one featured in part 2. Let's draw a contour plot or a collection of level curves. Yun yung contour plot, no? For f equal to square root of quantity 8x plus 8y minus 4x squared minus y squared. Okay. So here, we will be replacing this expression f of xy by any real number k within the range of your function. Okay. Now, the range of this function from part 2 is 0 to square root of 20. So if we take any value between 0 and square root of 20, then we have the following computation. I will not be removing k, no? Yung susunod na lines dito, puro may mga k yan. Para general yung solution, no? So first, let's set your expression for f equal to that k, which serves as your elevation, no, of the level curve. Let's remove square roots and complete squares. So yan siya. You can look back dun sa previous parts for this left-hand side. We can rewrite the squares here and transpose that together with the k squared so that we have 4 times x minus 1 quantity square plus y minus 4 quantity square equal to 20 minus k squared. Okay. And let me skip some more steps. I will be dividing both sides by 4 and then by 20 minus k squared to form this equation. Doon sa first term, ang denominator ay yung 20 minus k squared all over 4. No? This equation here represents an ellipse. No? So as your k runs between 0 and square root of 20, puro ellipse ito, centered at 1, 4. Okay? Let's just draw some of these ellipses, concentric ellipses. No? Let's start with k equals 0, where we get this red ellipse. And then for the other ellipses that you will see, your k is rising. Here we have k equals 1 and square root of 2 and so on. No? So nakikita natin, lumiliit yung ellipse until eventually at k equals square root of 20, we get that dot, which should be consistent with its equation. Kasi if k is square root of 20, then this third line here says that the sum of squares on the left is equal to 0. So dapat nga, point lang siya, which is this dot located at 1, 4. Okay? So that's the contour plot for f of xy. Okay? So that's item 8. Let's take another function of 2 variables. O ito, y over x. One can verify that for any y and for any x na hindi 0, okay, so that's your domain, ang magiging output niya is any real number, okay, which justifies the taking of level curves for any real number k. It could be positive, could be negative, could be 0. Okay. We will obtain here So, well, if we let g be equal to k, then that's k equal to y over x, and then multiply by x on both sides to get this. So as it is, y equals kx, it will be a line of slope k passing through the origin dapat. Okay? Pero ito, we will be tweaking it a bit since we noted that x could not be 0. So for the contour plot that we will be drawing, wala yung point corresponding to x equals 0, which turns out to be the origin. Okay? So the contour plot that we will be seeing has a hole at the origin. Okay? And that will be drawn on the left-hand drawing here. Dito sa kanan, we will be sketching its corresponding curve of elevation k. Okay? So for example, I will add here level curve of elevation 3. So k equals 3. Okay? So para siyang y equals 3x without the origin. On the 3D side, well, we do not need to draw this right-hand part to. Para lang makita lang natin siguro how these curves interact with the actual graph of g. This purple line corresponds to this curve or this line on the plane z equals 3. Again, wala yung point corresponding to x equals 0. Okay? And at this point, I will be showing some more level curves. I should note here that the slope is decreasing by 0.5. No? So, ano na to? This green line now has slope 1. This has slope 0.5. And then we have slope 0. And then we continue negative 0.5 and so on. So you see on the left that your level curves get slanted from up to the right, above right, papuntang below right, no? As we go from purple to red, which corresponds to the tilting of your level curve like this, okay? And finally, let me just add yung actual na itsura ni g of xy, which is y over x. May isa pa pala. All right. That final curve is for k equals negative 3. Okay? So when we take some more level curves maybe above this purple line and below the red line here, we should get this graph for g, which is not needed for this exercise, pero illustration lang ito ng relation ng contour plot doon sa actual graph. Okay? What we're looking for is this collection of graphs to the left. All right? That is item number 9. Finally, for item number 10. All right, so for this one, we will be drawing a set of level surfaces for h equal to z over square root of x squared plus y squared. Take note, this is the best that we could do about functions of 3 variables, no? Draw a sketch of level surfaces lamang, no? We cannot do the 4D sketch, no? All right. So for this one, let's set h of xyz, itong expression na ito, equal to k. Here, k, it could be any real number, no? Due to z being any real number. So k can be positive, negative, or 0. In any case, if we multiply both sides by square root of x squared plus y squared and square both sides, we should get this. Okay? Which should remind us, no? Aside from the multiplier, we have x squared plus y squared equals z squared. So some elliptic cones will show up. Okay? Let's now consider three cases for k. For an elevation, quote unquote, of k na positive, then we have this equation. But since k is positive here and we are involving only square roots, no? Dito may pero tayo parang k times square root of x squared plus y squared. So the z here in this equation should be positive. Again, it stems from this very first equation where k is positive, no? Para siyang multiplier ng square root. Okay? So the z must be positive or 0. Okay? And its graph will be the upper nap of an elliptic cone. Although we should note here that this nap must not contain the vertex where x is 0 and y is 0, because if we do include that, then it will contradict the domain of H, which is all real numbers where x and y are not 0. Okay? So in the drawings that will follow, dapat wala yung origin. Okay? Although it is not properly reflected, no? Anyway, we have this drawing. When k is 4, we get this cone. It's a bit narrow. When k equals 3, we get something much wider. When k equals 2, ayan siya. And when k equals 1. This outermost cone in orange has equation x squared plus y squared equals z squared. And again, we're just taking the upper part. Okay. Once again, that vertex should be a hole. Okay. So that's for k equals or greater than 0. For k na negative naman, we have the same equation, but this time, since the multiplier for square root of x squared plus y squared in the original equation is negative, the resulting graph will be only for the part where z is less than or equal to 0. So in this case, we have a lower nap. Yung nasa baba naman. Okay? So let's consider some values for k. Here is for k equals negative 4. So parang binaliktad nung k equals 4, no? Here is for k equals 3. This is for k equals 2. Equation, ano yan, negative 2 equals z over square root, or 4 times x squared plus y squared equals z squared. And finally, for k equals negative 1, it will be the lower nap of x squared plus y squared equals z squared. Okay? And finally, binanggit natin, meron pang k equals 0. No? If we set k to be 0 there, sa equation dito sa taas, then we have z equals 0. So, the level surface for h of k equals 0 is going to be the xy plane. Okay? And this collection of cones together with the plane forms your set of level surfaces for h of xyz. Okay? And that concludes our discussion video on graphs, domains, and contour plots of functions of more than one variable. Okay? So if you have any other questions about the items or topics discussed here, you may consult with your respective discussion teachers. So thank you very much for viewing today's discussion. Next up, we will be considering limits and continuity of functions of several variables. Once again, please view lecture 1.2 and then try the end of slides exercises first before viewing the corresponding discussion video. Once again, thank you very much and may we all stay safe. Until next time.